What is up, stationeers? I am Some Guy, Some Game, and here we are again in my simple greenhouse build here. I wanted to go ahead and show you what I've been up to, like usual, and maybe help you tweak things and get things working for you. I had to change up some stuff. I'm gonna admit, when I first started playing the game, I watched some tutorials to go ahead and get going, and I try to tweak things and do things my own way a little bit, but I used them as a guide for what I've been doing, and well, honestly, it wasn't working for me too well, so at least not for this build. So I had to go ahead and tweak some stuff, and I wanted to show you what I'm going to tweak and how I'm going to tweak it, so that way you can do it yourself too if you would like. Another thing I wanted to note is I had to turn the game sound way down because the batteries outside, whether they're on or off or whatever, in this side of the base, I don't know if you can hear it right now real well or not, but it's crazy loud. So I'm gonna try to stay over here a little bit more on this side of the base. That way it's not as loud, but hopefully I turned it down enough that it won't be an issue. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you what this is too right here. It's another little simple logic setup that I did, and this is just to keep things heated up. I got the gas sensor over here that can go ahead and do temperature as well. So you just got to select it from the little drop down menu right here, and it's less than 300, which equals up to somewhere around 30 degrees Celsius, a little less than that, somewhere like 28 degrees Celsius, I'm not sure. I had to tweak it a little bit, mess around with it to get the little X and the check mark telling me what the temperature was and what it wasn't. And if you mess around with it, you should be able to figure it out too. And then I just have my wall heaters hooked up here, and it's set to turn those on when that temperature is reached, and then it switches to the next state, which is going to toggle them off once the temperature of 305, which is roughly 31 degrees Celsius, is reached, and it'll cycle back up to the top one, and that'll keep it a nice toasty 30-ish degrees in here for you. So that's something that's really nice to do. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off for now to save power, and so that noise isn't on if you're hearing that right now. But alright, it sounds pretty quiet in the game to me, so there is a chance that the sound is, basically off. If that's the case, then, well, hopefully you like the sound of my voice, because that might be the only thing you're going to hear right now. So anyways, let's move on to me showing you what I had to do to get this to work. Now, I don't know what the problem was. There's people who can do this stuff. They have an idea of what they're doing and how they do it, and I'm not going to say that my way is the best way, but what I will say is that I like to keep it simple, and that was the whole goal of all this. I've repeated that several times, so that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to simplify this system, and I'm going to make it work for this build right here, and it's going to work good for what we need to do. So I'm going to show you what I ended up doing. I couldn't get the pressure to stay constant. It would come through these tubes, and it would build up behind the gas mixer, or then it would build up behind the pressure regulator. I could never seem to get enough pressure out this side of the system, and the vacuum side would always hog up all my extra gases, and I had a hard time getting them back into the system. So we're gonna make this easy here. I'm gonna rip out all of this, just toss it around wherever, that's fine. And let's get this one. Okay, if I hit the right thing here. And now that all that's ripped out, let's get this while I'm at it. For some reason, the active vents take the drill, and the passive vents take the wrench. So, speaking of passive vents, excuse me. Speaking of passive vents, let's go ahead and grab everything but that. No. Let's grab one of those out here. Put that down, and that's going to just let the air out of the system. It's going to cool down the room instantly here, pretty much. And that's because of all that build-up pressure that's been in the system that just didn't want to come out. So, let's see. Our temperature is, well, it actually didn't drop the temperature too much. Maybe once I get everything hooked up over here. I bet you once I get this hooked up it will. Let's see what happens. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is just replace all of this stuff I ripped out, which was the gas mixer, the pressure regulator, and the back pressure regulator. And I'm just hooking this straight up to the system here.
Temperature low.
Oh yeah, okay. There we go. Let's go ahead
Helmet
and
closed.
close this off. Now, let me go over here in case that sound, I don't know if you can hear it or not, but I'm going to be cautious here. Now, the temperature dropped quite a bit. If I had my automatic system on here, it would go ahead and kick that on. Let's do that just to show you. It automatically turned them on. So it's nice. You can also just manually toggle these on and off if you feel like it, but you know, for growing crops, you want to have a little bit of temperature control, and I might as well finish talking about that real quick while I'm on it. You know, you don't need to crops grow really quick. I think I have 18 wheat here in my pocket. I think you start with 6, so I grew 18 pretty quick. You know, it didn't take long, so just have your base set up, get your stuff that you need done, and then grow everything you need. Unless you're trying to feed a massive army of troops here, you know, you can grow quite a lot real quick, get what you want, and then be done with it. You don't have to constantly sit in here and tweak your atmosphere and your temperature and all that, unless you're planning on just, you know, living here forever, which most of us are planning on doing something in this game, I assume, other than just standing inside our base. You really don't need all that stuff perfect all the time. You know, it's just like the system I'm going to show you now. We got a little bit of pollutants in here. This is a simple way of doing it. It's not a complicated, you know, some of these guys are great at doing the automated stuff, and, you know, I applaud them. I honestly do. They're amazing at what they do, and I think that stuff's great. And if that's the way you want to go, I think you should, you know, but you're going to want a base like this set up first, so that way you can get to that point and build your massive automated palace on the moon or on Mars or, you know, in orbit, wherever you want to build it. You know, you need to have some food, some manufacturing set up, and this is the way to do it right here, in my opinion. Start small, start simple, and then go ahead and build up from there. And if you're new to the game, this is going to help you, you know, do it simpler first before you jump into all that expensive resource. It's expensive, but time expensive as well. But, you know, before you jump into all that stuff that's really complicated and automated and all that, you know, some of it's not too hard. You know, I say mess around with everything that you're happy doing, but this is hopefully going to be the easy way for you to get started. So enough rambling on. I know that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to toggle on my vacuum pressures, or the vacuum side of the system here, and we're going to start to see the, oh yeah, you know what, I'm going to have to do a quick reload. That's a glitch in the game. I can't do much about it. So I'm going to do a quick reload, and I will be back here in just a second now. Alright, yep, and we should start to see everything get, including the spray paint can here, apparently. We should see all that getting sucked into the system over here. And with it, our pollutants are going to go in with it too. So over here we should have a little bit higher pressure where it's blown back out. But ultimately it should actually balance itself out quite well. So let's go ahead and head down here. I wanted to show you it's going to get sucked in down there. I got the pipes just running right in through here. They're going into the filtration system. And then I got, you know, the way I got this set up now, the CO2 and the nitrogen and oxygen are all going to be mixed. But if you have this sealed off system, you're going to get you're going to have your CO2, all that stuff's not going to be mixed like you're seeing right here. But that's just because I connected the two pipes up there. But anyways, the important part is the water and the pollutants are all going to be filtered out and sent in here, so you don't have to worry about those. And then you're going to get the nice nitrogen and oxygen and a little bit of CO2 back in here. So that's what we want. We should see this go down here, the X, the pollutant symbol. We should start to see, yep, 0.5 now. We should see that just keep dropping, and it's not the fastest system. If you wanted to add in a few more active vents on the vacuum side, you could probably make this process go a little bit faster. But okay, sorry about that cut. I didn't have my filtration on, so I was trying to freaking out, wondering what was happening with my pressure. It wasn't coming back out the right side. But make sure you got everything on. Like I said, I'm going to add in a toggle switch for that. Make it nice and easy. I'll have that up in the next video, which is going to be the wrap-up video for this little base right here. I'm going to go ahead and add in the final touches on stuff like that and go ahead and show you everything. I'm going to rip it apart. But at this point, if you've watched it, you should know everything and pretty much how it's built. But this stuff right here, all I did was I took out all the pressure regulators, gas mixers, all that stuff, and we're bypassing all that and just letting it run back in. So it works really good. It still filters everything just like you want it. And, well, you know, as long as you're paying attention to your gas mixture and a little bit of CO2 and everything in here, you should be just fine. If you have too much pressure, open a door a little bit for a second. You can let your pressure out really easy. And if you need to add more in, grab yourself some oxide, melt it. Your pressure's going to just pop right back up to where you want it. As far as CO2 goes, let's see where we at. It's 0.04 right now. So let's go ahead and drop that. Let me drop that. And should have a little bit of this build up.
Waste tank critical.
Not a ton, but just open that. There it goes. Freeing it into the world. Close it back up. Put it back in your backpack. And then let's flip this back on. And we got a little bit more. you know, and if there's a couple of you playing the game, after a while you're going to have plenty of CO2 building up. You just release it into your greenhouse and keep a little bit in here so you can grow your plants, and you'll be just fine. So it's not too hard, and if you leave this system like I have it now, you will keep all your CO2, nitrogen, and oxygen in here just fine for growing. So, and temperature wise, if you do everything I showed you with that, your heat and everything should be just fine. And if you need air conditioning, go ahead and come over here and flip this on. This thing works really, really well for just lowering the temperature if you need to. And like I said, if you're growing your crops, you're not going to need to be constantly doing this. You know, just a couple days worth of growing. Make sure you're paying attention to your temperature, and you're going to be just fine. You know, some of these air conditioning systems, they need a pipe with coolant in it, and it's a process that's doable, and I'll probably show it eventually here, but you don't really need to, honestly. If you just do this, grow what you need, you know, and then you don't have to worry about your greenhouse for a little while. You can do what you want. And then when you want to grow again, just come back in here, make sure you got the right mix of gases, get your temperature to where you want it, and you're good to go. It's that simple. If you want to do the automated stuff, do it, but you know, you don't need to. I'm not going to go back into that rant again. So I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in right here, and I'm going to head outside. I'm going to show you what I've done out there and finish up by showing you the solar logic, going over that once again. So I will be back in just a second. And here we are up at my logic. I just went ahead and crammed my computer up here. It's not the prettiest spot. You could probably find a lot better spot to put it, but this is working. So same basic logic setup I've showed before. I got a computer with a logic motherboard in it, and I went ahead and put a daylight sensor down. You need to have that facing the sunrise. It works the best. I don't know, maybe you can tweak it to do it other ways, but I messed around with it, and that was the way that worked the best for me. So face it towards the sunrise if you want to keep it nice and simple for yourself. And once you do, go ahead and come down here, start a condition, and then find your daylight sensor on the list. Set the solar angle to less than 80 degrees. This is just a simple two-step logic. You can definitely do something more complicated than what I have set up here. This is probably the simplest one you could do, at least in my opinion. You know, it doesn't require much work. It's just once the solar angle goes less than 80, it's going to turn it one way facing the sun, and once it's over 80, it's going to turn it the other way facing the sun. And it's not at all going to maximize your amount of sun you're going to get, or power you're going to get from the sun, I guess, but it is going to be easy to set up, and you know, if you don't mess with it too much, it should power your batteries and keep you going for a while. So I don't worry about it. I got 4 panels up there. I'll show you them in just a second. And you know, it's a blazing 100 and some degrees outside my house right now in the real world, so I am going to try to talk fast here because I got to have my air conditioner off so while I'm recording. So I'm going to go ahead and try to show you everything real quick, but let's finish showing you this. So I added all my panels. I got panel 1, 2, 3, 4. I got vertical set to 30, and you're going to want to set that to however you have it. I have mine at negative 90 right now, but if you had it 90 degrees, which would just be the exact opposite, you'd probably need to set these numbers to the opposite the way I have them, but you can mess with that yourself a little bit, and I'll show you here in a second when I jump up there. But I just have them all set to turn that to vertical 30, which will face them towards the sun when the sun is coming, the sunrise. And then I got this set to switch to evening, which is already done. And once the solar angle hits above 80 degrees, it is going to switch them this way to go ahead and capture the sunset for me. So it works, simple, you know, my usual. It's not hard stuff. That's what I try to do. So they went ahead and added in a new false state to the, I haven't messed with that much, but you could probably play around with it to maybe get yourself a little more advanced logic. You know, I recommend, you know, if you're going to be using a lot of power and you're really concerned with that kind of stuff, you know, to look up how to do some more of that advanced logic and stuff. But this is a simple setup. So, all right, now data on one side running down here, and I got it running straight down here to the battery or to power the computer and everything else. And then the other side is the raw power coming out from the solar panels into the batteries. So you want to keep these lines separate, have your daylight sensor, all that stuff in your computer on the data side, and your raw power and you're going into your batteries on the other side. And if you pull out let me get this out. You can see the angles, you got all this. This is how you'll tell, you know, what you need them at. Mine just needs to be set at just walk over here and see which direction you need it at in the morning and which direction you need it at at night, and then use those numbers for your computer logic down there. And like I said, 90 degrees would work just as fine because it would just face the panels the other way, but then I'd probably need to switch the numbers around. So it'd be vertical maybe 80 instead of vertical 30. So mess with it yourself, figure it out. It's not hard stuff. I think you can do it. I got faith in you. So this is simple. This is really simple setup. I think I've said that enough already, so I'm going to move on. Now I wanted to show you the fabricator over here. Sorry, I got distracted there for a second. This is, again, this is the easiest setup I could come up with. I wanted my computer here. I wanted a light on in case I needed it, so you know, flip the power button here. I got a simple power board in here. You put the data disk in on the side, select what you want. I put the fabricator, the computer, and the light all on one system, and you can just toggle those all on and off. And just like usual, if you've used a fabricator, this is how it works. You know, you just select what you need from the list. And the reason why I'd want this out here is because I got my main manufacturing over there set up to do my, you know, if you're going to print off a lot of steel sheets, things like that, you know, you want to have something like that. That's what that section over there is for. This would be if, say, you just needed an extra wrench, or, you know, maybe some pipe, or just a couple pipes, or an active vent, or, you know, little things like that. Plus, it can print out a lot of stuff from a lot of different machines, so it's nice and handy to have. So I figured putting it out here and having it accessible is the best way to do it, at least for me. So find something that works for you and your thing, and, you know, your base, and that's pretty much how that's done. So I'm going to be wrapping this up. I'm already, I'm getting pretty hot here, so, you know, I take a quick walk around the baking. Yes, there we go. I'm going to take a quick walk around the base here. I can't even talk right anymore, so, alright. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way this base has turned out. I like the looks of it, so this is, again, this is going to be dependent on where you're at. You know, if you don't have a crater here, you're going to have to, you know, figure out how you want to do it. Maybe dig yourself a crater. I don't know. You know, be inventive with it, but this is a pretty easy setup right here, I think, and it turned out nice. I need to finish the airlock. I may get to that. I may not. I don't know. It needs to be done. It's quicker and easier than doing the other way I showed you with the, you know, just vacuuming the air out of that room up here. But that way works, so I've been doing it that way because I just, like I said, I haven't felt like doing the airlock. So I'm going to do one more video to wrap up this series, well, this base, I guess, and then I'm going to move on to something else. So we'll figure that out when I can get to it. But if you have any questions, like always, let me know. And if not, I will catch you in the next video.